Yes. Hi, everyone who is listening this presentation. I would like to thank for the help of the all FFW DC team for wrapping this up. And this presentation is about the technical tools, the best practices that we are using in DC team that we are going to share with all other team and decide what should stay, what should be improved, what should be measured, and vice versa. So first of all, we are using GitHub for our projects. All the projects are under ProPeopleMD account. It's a team, actually. It can be changed, no props about that. Most of them are private, and we have a sort of a rule for every single project. We have dedicated private repository, and also every team has its own GitHub service account. We name them bots for connecting the repository with the continuous integration servers. Also, for every repository, we have a dedicated server which is hosted on DigitalOcean, where the CI scripts live. Also, we are using Google Apps for Google Documents, Hangouts, single sign-on, and for Google Calendar, especially for mobile calendars. Because right now Microsoft Services has no ability to have the calendar available for different platforms, for example, for Linux. But as far as I know, as per Chang's mentioning, there is a communication about adding ability for ffwagency.com domain worked on Google Apps as well. We have a DigitalOcean account. At this moment, it's about 50 droplets there. As you can see on screenshot, every project has its own droplet. The droplet itself hosts the CI server, and also we are using the droplet for demo purposes. There is a demo builder which can be used for demoing demoing the work that was done to a client. The credentials to this account held by Andrei Podanenko and Oleg Chabatar. So we have a practice for requesting the droplet creation or adding the SSH keys through me or Oleg, but through Oleg it's rare. Next, also we use DigitalOcean for some specific clients that are not hosted on Acquia. For example, it's a Stepton Johnson, Mount Vernon, which is hosted on BlackMesh, and there are some other projects in the past that were hosted on DigitalOcean as well. Next, for our development workflow, we are using CA-Box, which consists from the 5 different parts, like local dev environment based on Vagrant and pre-provision and VirtualBox box. As far as I know, FFW East has its own Druid feature, which can be replaced in CI-Box. It depends from the project requirements. We have CI server provisioner scripts. It's for setup of CI server instance. Our latest practice is to clone CI server instances between projects. especially for YMCA-related projects, just because they are similar, and we can save time for provision just by cloning that. Also, CI-Box ships the Ansible scripts for deployments, drush wrappers, sniffers, etc. These scripts are injected into the project code base, so they are under responsibility of the team that is working on the project. Also, there are QA tests like Behat tests, and we have a deep integration with GitHub. Also, CI-Box is integrated with Slack, so everything happening on CI server sends a message to respective Slack channel about any errors or status updates. And CI-Box consists from 3 different workflow: Profile, SQL, and Docker SQL flow. Profile flow based on Drupal profile installation. Every time site install it from scratch, no database save it between reinstallations. SQL workflow is for keeping the database state between environments. Here we are using Drupal hook update and workflow for adding any changes to code or to database. And also we have Docker SQL flow, which helps us to maintain really huge databases in a second. Next, for different projects, we are using Acquia hosting. We have a bunch of deployment plans within CI-Box. I will show you a demo probably at the end of this, or my part of this presentation, how it looks like. And example projects fully integrated with our CI are Audubon, Twin Cities, and DocuSign. As far as I remember, for DocuSign, we even sold the CI server instance to them, so they are responsible for maintaining that instance on their end. This is it about our tools that we are using. Now I want to share some thoughts and insights about development process in our team. So we have a step-by-step document that is shared across the different projects which developers should follow. And a quick overview is that every task should create a pull request for review. We have a manual code review in our team. There is a place for QA, like before actually merging to master, QA can dive in, open the build site, which is generated for every pull request, and check the work is done on that site without touching any sensitive environments. We have sniffers in place as well, so every pull request check it against Drupal code standards, and if there are any violations, there is a report posted to the pull request thread where developer and reviewer can see any issues and ask for fixing them. Next rule is merging should not be done by the pull requests after. This is limited on the GitHub level. So when I'm a creator of this pull request, I can't merge it. I need to ask somebody else from the team about review. Also, in charge of after of the pull request is a step that needs to be done, name it steps for review. So every developer should write steps that reviewer or QA engineer should follow to understand how it works and to check if it works. Our build site, this is something that covered by CI, is created in 1 or 10 minutes depending from the workflow type. And the link to this site is posted to the GitHub as well. After merger, steps for review are used for QA or project manager to create user guides. And also we have a lazy builders which runs on every pull request, and they execute behead tests for the build that needs to be passed okay before actually merging to the master. So here is a scheme how it looks like. I've posted here the link to the Confluent docs. This presentation is going to be shared after the video recorded. So here you can see how it works. Every developer has its own fork of the main repository where all the work is happening. And then after work is done, developers should create the pull request to the master branch of the master repository and wait for the CI part happens. And then everything continues from the task to task. Also, we have the practice of working on long-term features. For example, if there is a feature that should not be merged to master and deployed by another team, especially when we have a few teams working on the single project, then we are creating the feature branches, set up the demo site for that particular feature branch, and the team can work and create pull request against that feature branch without touching the master. So this is how we manage actually possible conflicts between different epics in one project. Also, in our CI, we have deployment strategies. Basically, the simple deployment is to create the pull request from master branch to the stage branch. And then after build is done and everything works, after merging that branch, we can run the CI box job to deploy that branch to the stage. On some projects, we have workflow that is based on tags. Like for the stage branch, we create in tag if everything is ready to be deployed, and then this tag is deployed to the production environment. On some other projects, we are using not tags but branch, production branch, which is deployed to the respective environment by the dedicated task named production deploy. So here, how the decent example, decent UI of the CI server looks like. As you can see, we have the demo site, which is hosted on CI server instance, and here you can see the three different deployment plans: Acquia Dev, Acquia Test, and Acquia Prod, which are used for deploying the respective branches to the respective environments onto Acquia hosting. And also there are a lot of other service tasks which are maintained by the development team of the project. We have a lot of things in terms of development quality. Let me share you some overview about them. So our GitHub review process looks like this. Here is a screenshot of our project that is in progress. Here you can see the references to the actual Jira. In the future, it is going to be WorkFront. Down below, there are steps for review created by the developer itself. Next, we are trying to keep best practices and docs at the top of the message. They are automatically added to every project that we are working on. And also, here, developers should ask for the review at the right side of the message from the specific member of the team. We have a practice to choose reviewer by round-robin principle. So this covers the knowledge exchange between developers during the development. So here how the code review looks like. We have a best practices where we collected the different common mistakes and how the code should look like. And here how the actually command from the CI server looks. You can see the list of the sniffers. We cover the JavaScript, PHP code, and also for some projects we use accessibility sniffers. Everything can be configured by the code-driven development. So all these settings are within the project code base. And here is the QA part of the pull request. So on the previous slide, you can see there is a build site installed link. Every site for the pull request is a dedicated environment and unique. It's a zero-cost environment. You can do everything you want with that site in terms of testing. And you can simply rebuild this build by putting specific comments to the GitHub thread. So in terms of QA, here is an example how the QA works on review. So you can put screenshots, links to the documentation or to designs, what should be done. And down below you will see that pull request is measured after the QA and one of the reviewers approved the specific pull request. A few words about CI builds. You can see that the link, I've mentioned it before here. And at the right side, you can see how the build is look like. So you can go there and test everything. After that, hey Oleg. After that, there is a Behead test runner, which sends the link to the Behead report. And before actually merging this pull request, QA or reviewer can check if everything works and ask for specific fixes before merging. Also, for regression testing, this is done especially for the major deployments, because we are not testing every pull request for regression, at least for the other parts of the site that are not touched by the task. We're using Backtrack. This is a QA responsibility, and it helps us to compare the list of pages before and after the deployment, and display the parts of the site changed and to handle if they are not expected to be changed. And also a few words about development processes plus Jira. As you might know, we are moving to the Workfront, but it doesn't change actually our performance, our experience. So for Jira, we have GitHub integration plugin, which looks like a tab named Development at the bottom right place. I hope that for Workfront we will have something similar. It's really helpful in terms of following the development process. Here, QAs and project managers can find the actually development branch and understand what steps was done for approaching the task. We also use cross-linking in our tasks. The best practice shows that when you put the caused by and blocks links for every task as a team lead, It helps a lot for project managers to understand the status of the project, the status of specific epic, and what should be done for approaching some specific task. This is something that we can leverage to the work front as well. And this is how the team tech lead job looks like. So we are trying to put into the description steps to approach. This helps a lot developers to dive in, or in terms of human resources, we can ask for almost any type of the resource to work on this specific project without spending a lot of time to onboarding process. It's still work in progress because we still need onboarding and we still need to spend some time to that, but I hope that with putting this into our regular flow, we can improve our performance a lot. And also we are using Confluence for user guides for a client. It's really nice feature because you can link to the Jira, not only to the Jira, but to any external page, and then just export everything from this specific space to the PDF, which is really nice themed and keeps links in it. For the review of for the creation of the user guides, we are using steps for review that are created by developers, review it by QA, and then copy-paste it to the Confluence and enriched with screenshots or additional explanations for better understanding for a client. And our decent practice is to embed actually user guides into the site. This shows us really nice results because with the site we actually ship the documentation, and this documentation always up to date because it stays in code base and can be improved anytime by using some simple techniques. Tour can't cover all user guides needs because tours are more step-by-step how-tos, not the actually guides, but it can cover almost 80% of the documentation. And also a few words about deployments. Sasha, could you please switch to your presentation mode and continue with presentation, because this part was prepared by you.
Sure, yeah.
It's a slide number 27.
Yeah. Can you make me as a presenter? All right. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, great. So in regards to the deployments, we are using CI Box as well, but with just some level of customization. And for especially for Acquia, we have list of playbooks and instructions how we can perform the automatic deployment to Acquia. So usually our process with the deployments to Acquia is just one click within Jenkins interface, and everything should be deployed, all backups should be made, and etc. So usually we have 3 environments on Acquia that we are using. There is one more RA environment, but we've never used that environment, only for the cases when something should be investigated in there. And also, as Andrei mentioned, we are using GitHub. So on GitHub, we have 3 branches as well for specific environments, for dev environment, for staging, and for production environment. but deployments to production, they are using tags on GitHub. So we are not deploying the production branch directly to Acquia because there will be no easy way to make a reward there if something went wrong. So we are using tags. And with dev release, we just push the code to Acquia and run updates there, make some backup, and in case if we need to synchronize database with production, as example, we would like to run some updates that will update the content on production environment. In this case, our first step to copy database from production to dev environment, push code, and run updates there. When we would like to run release on staging, we just create on GitHub, we create pull requests from dev branch to staging branch. And in this case, it went through the review, through the QA, and once it gets merged, we do a release to staging environment. And then if we feel that like we are ready for production release, we make a new pull request from staging branch to production branch. Then based on production branch, we make a new tag in Git and then run release to production environment. And there were a few questions from folks within our team. Why do we need production branch for this workflow when we deploy tag to the Acquia production server? Because we can create tags from the staging branch. And the reason why we are still keeping the production branch in GitHub, because we are using production branch for hot fixes. As example, if something really critical in production environment, but in staging, we already have some changes that should be deployed, as example, on next week. And in this case, there is no ability to push tiny change within some file within repository without deploying everything from staging branch. And in this case, production branch helps a lot with this, with the hot fixes. Also, we have internal QA. Internal QA means we are doing QA for everything that we are going to deploy. And according to our workflow, we have like single developers who is working on some task locally. Then once this task is ready, he creates pull request in GitHub. And eventually we get built within pull request there. Then once all review, code review, manual testing, and QA testing, if all those testings went well, we merge this pull request. And eventually the code appears in the repository and we make a release to Acquia dev environment. Then once we are ready to make staging environment with some pool of tasks, we make staging release and then production release. And important that on all stages, on all releases, we are doing testing, manual testing, we're doing PHAT testing, and on all stages, we test the task that should be deployed. So as you may see, we have 5 stages where we actually do testing. And in this case, there is pretty small chance to deploy some buggy code to the production environment. Also, in regards to code workflow, as Andrew mentioned, we are using master branch on GitHub, and all the changes appears on the production website. Only those changes should went through the development environment and staging environment, and only then appear on production environment. And Jenkins, in Jenkins, we have integration with Acquia, and like this is simple Jenkins interface where we have 3 jobs that actually do a release to appropriate Acquia's environment. And we have, in the right side, we have this icon where even project manager can open Jenkins, click on this button, and everything will be released to appropriate environment from there. Also, we have some strict rules in regards to the release. So first of all, we should communicate about upcoming release with the team, with project managers, and the most important, to communicate with client. So we should get a green light from client that we should be able to make a deployment at specific day, at specific time. Of course, there should be non-business hours, and also by default within every Jenkins job that do a release, we have backups. We are making backups before release and after release in order to have some backups, as example, for some research if something went wrong, and in order for being able to revert some specific environment and etc. So more backups, then safer we are. And also we have automated daily and monthly database backups. They are automated within Acquia user interface, but also we have one layer of automation on top of that. So we have automated backups on CI server as well. And with the tags and with production branch, we have easy way to revert release, because we can just deploy alt code, alt get tag, and revert database through the Acquia user interface if something went wrong. Also, when we start new projects, it's really important to be on the same page with the client in regards to the go live and content freeze, where a client can edit the content before release, so eventually it will appear on the production website and stuff like that. And for that, we've created some kind of documentation and rules how to do that. First of all, our first phase, actual development phase, when we develop some platform, when we develop some project for the client, and at this point we are using installation profile, and we are not and we do not allow client to edit some content, because we are setting up the content structure, we are making some basic architecture in terms of the content structure and etc. So then there is second step at this workflow, when we actually make like pre-production release, when we say we are ready with the content structure, and from this point you should be able to start working on the content, and eventually database from this environment will be copied to the production environment. So we call it pre-production, and usually this is Acquia stage environment. And once we went through some bug fixes, UAT, and we feel that we are ready for the launch, we just pull the pre-production environment to Acquia production environment and change DNS for the website domain. So, and at this point, everything from pre-production go to the production. I mean, database and media assets, documents, and everything that should be part of the project. Also, we are trying to be on the same page in regards to what will be the primary source of content after go live, and we share the schemes like that when we say that we are using staging database before go live as a primary source for all builds and for all releases, and the same for media assets. That's before go live. After go live, our production environment will be the source of database and media assets for all other environments that we may have, for Acquia Dev, Acquia Stage, our CI server builds, local environments, and all the environments that we may have. And also, it's important to have the following things before we are doing go live. Usually, we're creating the go live plan where we outline when we will have go live, what exactly should be done, if there is some manual steps, who is responsible for making DNS changes, who is responsible for pushing everything from staging to production, stuff like that. Also, we create a go live checklist in order to go through the website and verify that everything is fine before go live. We have no fatal errors. All pages are accessible by anonymous and authenticated users. We check that cache is enabled, varnish is enabled as well, and there is no problems with cache. The aggregation for the JavaScript is enabled and stuff like that. So the list is pretty long. Also, we're doing load testing in order to make sure that site will be available even under the big amount of users. If there will be after go live any spikes, that website will be still accessible. And also we update the Drupal core and all Contrib modules, and we apply all security releases before go live in order to make sure that we are fine in order to launch the website. And as a part of go live, we change DNS. Usually it's responsibility of the client, but if client needs some assistance from us, we are happy to provide some help. Also, add new domains to the Acquia servers and configure URL redirects. Usually it's htaccess level or just redirect module within Drupal. And in case if client would like to get the ownership of the repository, we just switch the owner of the GitHub repository or move it to Bitbucket to any service that will be like a host for GitHub repository. And as a part of post go live, we check the DNS propagation. We check that DNS has been successfully updated, not only for a specific city or a country, but for all countries in the world. Also, we
Are you guys checking that?
Sorry, what the question? How are
you guys changing the DNS propagation from different countries?
Yeah, there is a service. Well, I do not remember the URL of that service.
Oh, okay. I think we use the same. No, I thought you have something else.
Yeah, there is a service where you just put your domain and it on the map it shows where is the DNS has been propagated and where is not. Yeah.
Yeah, we used that like 2 days ago. Cool tool.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. So after DNS propagation, we just monitor the log with errors if there is any fatal errors or stuff like that within the errors log. And if there is no such errors, that's great. We've done a great job in regards to the QA, and we caught all the errors on the website. Also, we verify that analytics and services like Google Tag Manager or Google Analytics is working on the website, and actually those services are tracking the visitors of the website. Also, usually critical business flows, they are covered with behat tests, but it also makes sense to keep an eye on some critical pages. Like for YMCA, this is a membership page, or like some landing pages for promotion campaigns and stuff like that. Also, we have some automated tools and script that will go through the website. If we have some migrations, we just check if there is any broken links to some external websites or internal broken links. And just it's more content work of client in order to verify that content is ready for go live, and after go live there is no problems with the content. Yeah, that's just a list of links for the checklist for go live that we're using: SSL installation checklist, project go live checklist, different go live checklists for the Drupal 7 and Drupal 8, and so on. So you will be able to go through those links and just take a look at the checklists that we're usually using. And as a post-go live workflow, usually if we have some problems, we are making hot fixes. As I mentioned, just pull request directly to the production branch. Then once pull request has been merged, we create new release and new tag and release it to the appropriate environment. And there is like no significant changes to the development workflow. Everything still goes through the Acquia dev environment, Acquia stage. We are still using pull requests. And yeah, this is actually what we're doing after go live. And here I would like to get back the presenter mod to Andrei, so he will talk about knowledge sharing in our team. Or Andrei,
Alex,
you would like me to cover that?
I have one quick question. Do you guys have a method on how you monitor the logs, the error logs, like New Relic and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm. So on a few projects we were using Kibana, as far as I remember, and usually
and
we're
Logstash,
using,
yes.
yeah, and Logstash. As the New Relic is kind of standard for all the projects that we have. We are using New Relic in order to monitor the performance.
So what's the workflow? Like you monitor for the for the period of about 2 weeks, and then start to stabilize the platform, or how is that working?
So when we are using Acquia has a really nice feature for posting issues if they see some through the logs, and then we start to react on that. So we are more reactive, not proactive right now about logs. But for some projects, we had a setup of Kibana, which was installed into the CI server, and Logstash instances, which were installed to the, as I remember, to Black Mesh sites. It was like 20 instances of Black Mesh. And then in Kibana, we were monitoring, as I remember, a week or 2 weeks after the deployments, we were monitoring if something goes wrong or if there are any any additional log messages in logs, and that's it.
Yeah, in most cases, in regards to the performance, the problems are on Acquia's side. So sometimes it's just some problems with their PHP FPM, like we are struggling with on YMC Twin Cities, and yeah.
But actually, the thing is that with this development workflow that we were presenting to you, we has not so much error messages in any logs because everything tested a lot of times, and before actually deploying, before actually going live, we have a step that every developer should go to the database login and see if there are any warnings, notices, or something like that, and do not merge the code before that is fixed. So everything pretty stable right now.
Yeah, I feel that's something that my team is missing. They are doing that, post factum usually.
Well, we are trying to be more proactive than reactive, but it's not always possible, and for the more rich clients, we can set up actually the proactive environment and react on the Logstash issues and to set up any notifications. But right now we stick to Acquia, and there is a quality monitor which says that there is something wrong, and it helps us a lot to react on any issues on the site.
Okay, cool. Let's go to the next one. Sorry for bothering you with questions.
Not a problem.
No problems. Andrei, would you like me to cover that, or you would like to do it
you
yourself?
can proceed. It's 2 or 3 more slides, nothing specific. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So also, as a part of our work, our development process, we set up like knowledge sharing in our team. We're trying to encourage everyone to share their knowledge within the team members, between different teams. And for that, as a first activity within our team, we have Friday Tech Talk. So this is the time when we are talking about different interesting things that we've done during the week. Usually we have one or two presenters, and they are talking about some interesting implementations, about some interesting tools that they've learned, about some stuff that is really important for other team members to know about. So also usually before Drupal camps or local meetups like Drupal Cafe, or before even DrupalCons, it's kind of practice of your session, and you can show it to your team members internally, then collect some feedback, then maybe adjust it or just improve your skills within the session. It's like rehearsing. So we're trying to keep this schedule in our Confluence, and almost everyone from our team is making sessions every Friday. It's 1 hour time slot when we just sit down and listen to some new and cool stuff from our team members. So the second part of our knowledge sharing, it's a code review, because code review is not about doing something wrong or doing something in the right way. It's about knowledge sharing. When you say to your team member that here is some recommendation how you can write your code better, or here is your here is new techniques that you can use. In Drupal 8 you can use services instead of functions, and etc. And that was kind of beginning of our review process, but eventually we are doing a review for everything, for documentation, for estimates, for proposals, for code, for presentations at the DrupalCon, because in this case, like, first it shares responsibility because someone reviewed your code and now you have responsibility for that code with your team member, but also it increases quality and like promotes knowledge sharing, because in this case your team member might have more knowledge in this area and he can assist you and recommend some new stuff and cool stuff, and you can learn from him. And also, as a part of knowledge sharing, we are doing the open source contribution as much as we can. We are trying to contribute a lot to the Drupal community and give back to Drupal community based on our work that we are doing. And as a part of contribution, we think that it's important to be a speaker at the Drupal meetups, like Drupal camps, Drupal Cafe, DrupalCons, training days, also dev days and code sprints. So here in Kyiv, where we based, Andrei and myself, we are attendee and speakers and organizers of the code sprint, and it's like increases your motivation within Drupal world, and you always share knowledge, you learn from the community, and you share your work between the community members. And the second part, like when we work on the code for some specific project, and before creating some custom module, it's always like important to think if there is any chance to make it as a contrib module. And there is a few examples of profiles on Drupal.org from our team members. So there is plenty of contributions and commits on Drupal.org that represents that we're not closed company. We are pretty open. We contribute back to the Drupal community. We're not only using modules, but we also contribute those modules back at the Drupal.org. And this is pretty much it. And do you have something to add to the knowledge sharing and open source?
Hey guys,
No,
I
I
need to
think
drop in a few seconds. So please share the recording of this meeting. And thanks so much for doing this.
you're
Yeah,
welcome.
no problems.
I have to drop now as well, guys. Thanks. I think this was very informative, and this is really the way the dev process should look like. So
Cool.
very good.
Let's get questions if there are any offline, and we will be happy to answer all of them.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you.